Running for Congress was never in the plan.
Representative Alexandria Ocasio Cortez is an icon in her own right and is quite the unique character in a world of political stereotypes. She holds a high precedence above her fellow peers, venturing on a path that most would find difficult. From being a waitress to a bartender, then running for Congress, this young woman has shown the world the endless determination she has to accomplish all she set out to do, and being a great role model for anyone following behind her.
Because that is what we can accomplish when we come together.
Born October 13, 1989, Alexandria Ocasio Cortez was welcomed into the world. She was born into a Catholic family in the Bronx, New York, to her mother, Blanca Ocasio Cortez, and her father, Sergio Ocasio Roman. Her father worked as an architect, which made it possible for them to live in a generous apartment in the neighborhood of Parkchester. They then moved to a suburban house in Yorktown Heights when she turned 5 years old. This is where Alexandria attended Yorktown High School and graduated in 2007. During these years, she was affectionately referred to as Sandy Ocasio, and today we call her AOC for short as well. Her initial interest had centered around science, where she came second place at the Intel International Science and Engineering Fair. As a reward for her efforts, the MIT Lincoln Laboratory named a small asteroid after her called the 23238 Ocasio Cortez. Sweet, right? But this wasn't what held her attention. She went on to participate in the National Hispanic Institute Lorenzo D. Zavala Youth Legislative Session. She worked her way through the processes until eventually she continued this political interest into college. She enrolled at Boston University and through her hard work became the Secretary of State for the LDZ. But this achievement wasn't as easy as it sounds. During her second year, her father had passed away due to lung cancer, and she had to endure a lengthy court debacle to settle his estate. That experience opened her eyes and made her understand firsthand how attorneys made themselves rich at the expense of families who struggled to make sense of the bureaucracy. She took this time to delve more into the legislative sessions and got herself a John F. Lopez Fellowship. This fellowship is given by the National Hispanic Institute that's dedicated to serving the future leadership needs of the global Hispanic community. Her father was born into a Puerto Rican family, and her mother came from Puerto Rico, which cemented her eligibility to the fellowship. After that, she served as an intern for U.S. Senator Ted Kennedy in foreign affairs and immigration issues. She replayed her thoughts to him during this experience, saying, "I was the only Spanish speaker, still basically a kid at 20, but if a frantic call came in with someone looking for their husband, snatched off the street by the U.S. Immigrations and Customs Enforcement team, I had to be the one to help them navigate the system." This opened a whole new world for her, from science to politics, where she found her place helping people in need. At the end of it all, she graduated with honors in 2011 with a Bachelor of Arts degree in both international relations and economics. From all her training under Kennedy and growth in the LDZ, she set her sights on continuing in politics by working for the National Hispanic Institute and being an organizer for Bernie Sanders in the 2016 primary elections. Of course, she first had loose ends to tie up by working as a bartender and waitress at Flat's Fix in Union Square to fight the foreclosure of their home. Cortez's determination didn't falter. She successfully kept their home out of the red with the help of her mother, who worked as a house cleaner and school bus driver. She became fully aware of the job situation that most people were forced into because of pressure from the higher-ups, and it pushed her to travel across America. On her travels, she got another first-person perspective of what was happening in America, such as Flint, Michigan, where she spoke to residents affected by a water crisis. In an interview with Mother Jones Daily, she explained that at first she thought the way to run for office effectively was to have access to wealth, social influence, and power. But her visit to Michigan and North Dakota inspired her to begin work for the protection of the communities instead. Cortez had spent weeks living with the residents in a tent on Standing Rock in North Dakota, and it was her work here that earned her a call from a group called Brand New Congress. This was a project launched by progressive organizers who were frustrated with being tricked and wanted to train a batch of new primary candidates. Was she interested in running for Congress? Yes.
Everybody said that we couldn't do it. And here we are, April 12th,
2018.
Cortez started her campaign in April 2017 while still waiting tables and tending bar. It operated by mobilizing people to the cause and not taking donations from corporations. She stated that she faced financial disadvantages but pushed ahead, finding totally new ways to beat the more influential candidates at their own game. She designed her posters with inspiration from revolutionary visuals from the past. And then on June 15th, she met the other candidates on a local political talk show inside City Hall. This was broadcasted to a wide audience across America that gained her endorsements from civil organizations such as Move On and Democracy for America. She even got backing from actress and first-time candidate Cynthia Nixon, who lost against her opponent, Democratic Governor Andrew Cuomo, in the 2018 New York gubernatorial election. Even California Representative Ro Khanna later endorsed Cortez in an unusual dual support, along with her first pick and competition, Joe Crowley. On June 26, 2018, Cortez received a winning total of 15,897 votes against her opponent, Joe Crowley, who only received 11,761. She defeated the then-term official by an almost 15% advantage, which came as a shock to the many political commentators and analysts present throughout the campaign. Alexandria Ocasio Cortez immediately amassed nationwide attention yet again. Time magazine, The Guardian, and CNN called her victory the biggest upset of the 2018 elections. And the New York Times reported Joe Crowley's loss as a shocking defeat for a Democratic official in the last decade. Cortez was later congratulated by Bernie Sanders and former President Barack Obama in her outstanding win. She took this time to endorse several other primary candidates, capitalizing on her fame. It was even viewed as unusual how she spent her political capital, but she wasn't questioned. Without campaigning for it, Cortez won the Reform Party, as many people wrote her name down for candidacy. This took place in a neighboring congressional district, New York's 15th, but she declined the nomination. Her next move was a speech at the Netroots Nation, a convention for political activists, in which she was called the undisputed star. The first media outlet to give Cortez a platform and completely cover her campaign was the Young Turks, an online new program. Her newly found fame garnered numerous TV and talk show appearances, including a rally in Wichita. She was seen as a newfound pillar of hope, and her campaign was featured on the cover of the June 2018 edition of The Independent, a free New York City-based monthly newspaper. In a tweet on her social platform, Cortez hailed the cover appearance as an important breakthrough for her campaign. The Young Turks program continued to cover her as well, and defended her from other political and media elites who had criticism regarding some of her work. But they can't embarrass her. In an attempt to ruin her efforts, Twitter user Anonymous Q shared a video of Cortez from her college days in a student-produced dance video. Many of her online fans, accumulated from her relatable presence and background, came to her aid, and Cortez herself simply laughed it off by posting a video of her dancing to War by Edwin Starr outside of her congressional office. In 2019, she was an entry in Time's 100 by Elizabeth Warren, and also featured in a documentary called Knock Down the House, focusing on 4 female Democrats. Her next step came at a speaking for a congressional hearing, which featured a panel of representatives of political donations. She questioned them about ethics regulations and asserted that there were no laws set to prevent lawmakers from being bought off by wealthy corporations. A clip of this session was posted to Twitter and became the most watched political video at 37.5 million views. Cortez questioned Michael Cohen, Donald Trump's former lawyer, in this area, which prompted an investigation in August 2020 by New York General Attorney Letitia James. In 2020, Cortez was challenged by Michelle Caruso Cabrera in the Democratic primary elections and retained her position. She had spent her campaign running workshops for people on workplace organizing, fighting eviction, and collective childcare. In October, she hosted a Twitch stream of the game Among Us with fellow Congresswoman Ilhan Omar and other well-known gamers such as Pokimane and Dr. Lupo. The viewership peaked with more than 400,000 views and succeeded in humanizing her to the country. When the 116th Congress gathered, Cortez was entered not with seniority status, but from her large social presence instead. When she made her first speech, C-SPAN tweeted the video, and in 12 hours, her 4-minute video set the record as C-SPAN's most watched Twitter video by a member of the House of Representatives. Nothing short of awesome from this awe-inspiring leader. But before her amazing future moments, there were people who saw her success far before she did, who joined her and believed in her mission. The National Hispanic Institute's founder and president, Ernesto Nieto, selected her as NHI's Person of the Year in 2017, primarily for what she was going to do in 2018. She connects with the broader youth via social media and has gained positive recognition and feedback. She's addressed problems in Congress and has succeeded with gaining the upper hand. She represented New York's 14th district and still does today, with undeniable skill and passion. She's a challenging young woman with bold and innovative campaign ideas that engage citizens who have been forgotten and dismissed by politics. She brings to the table real leadership that makes her community better regardless of the election results.
Our future is not going to get better unless we demand it and unless we work for it.
What do you think will come next for Alexandria? Let us know in the comments section, and don't forget to hit that like button and click subscribe to get more access to videos from us here at The Taco.